I sat quietly at the far end of our family's dinner table, watching my sister Amanda wave her hands excitedly as she described her grand plans for my $40 million penthouse. The weekly family dinner had taken an interesting turn, one I'd been anticipating for months. Just imagine it, Amanda continued, pulling up photos on her iPad. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean, meditation spaces, juice bar in the corner. My clients will pay premium prices for that view. Mom beamed with pride. Darling, that's such a wonderful idea. Your brother's barely using that space anyway. Dad nodded sagely, swirling his expensive whiskey, the one he always brought to show off at these dinners. About time that property got some real use. Wellness is where the real money is these days. I took another bite of Mom's roast, hiding my amusement. The barely used penthouse they were so casually redistributing was actually the crown jewel of my latest development project, the Azure, a $500 million beachfront complex that had transformed the city's coastline. When can we start moving my equipment in? Amanda asked, not even bothering to look in my direction. I've already told some of my high-end clients about the upgrade. I checked my phone discreetly. Right on schedule, a message from Wilson, my head of security, appeared. Prince Abdullah's motorcade is 5 minutes out. Security protocol alpha in place. The penthouse does have amazing views, I said mildly, speaking for the first time since Amanda had started her presentation. Especially at sunset. Oh, you've actually been up there? Amanda looked surprised. She still thought I worked in the small office downtown, where I took family meetings. I drove by yesterday, and it looked empty. Of course it had looked empty. The penthouse's smart glass windows could turn opaque at the touch of a button, and the private elevator required security clearance that only a handful of people possessed. I stopped by occasionally, I replied, understating the fact that I'd personally overseen every detail of the penthouse's design, from the rare Italian marble to the custom-made furniture that wouldn't arrive until next week. Mom reached over to pat my hand. Sweetie, I know you're attached to it, but Amanda's business is really taking off. She needs this opportunity more than you need an empty office. If they only knew that my empty office had hosted 3 heads of state last month alone. My phone buzzed again. Wilson, Prince has arrived. Proceeding to private elevator. Maybe we should discuss this properly, I suggested, standing up. Why don't we all go take a look at the space right now? Amanda's eyes lit up. Perfect. I can show everyone exactly where everything will go. Dad finished his whiskey. Good idea, son. Time to be practical about these things. 20 minutes later, our family convoy pulled up to the Azure. Amanda's yoga sticker-covered SUV led the way, followed by Dad's Mercedes and Mom's Range Rover. I drove my deliberately modest Audi, the one I kept just for family appearances. The building rose 50 stories of gleaming glass and steel, its wave-inspired architecture already making it an icon of the coastline. As we approached the entrance, I saw Amanda frown at the increased security presence, a subtle but necessary precaution for the prince's visit. There seemed to be a lot of guards, Mom noted as we pulled up to the valet station. Must be a special event, I said casually, watching the team of suited security personnel take their positions. Amanda marched confidently toward the entrance, her yoga mat tucked under her arm. She reached for the door just as Wilson stepped forward. Good evening, Mr. James. He nodded to me, then turned to my family. I'm sorry, but the building is currently closed for a private event. Amanda's confidence wavered slightly. Oh, but we're here to see the penthouse. My brother has an office here somewhere. Wilson's face remained professionally neutral as he glanced at me. I gave him a slight nod. Of course, Mr. James. The private elevator is ready for you and your guests. Amanda turned to me, confusion crossing her face. Mr. James, since when are you? The lobby doors opened, revealing a space that had been featured in Architectural Digest last month. Soaring ceilings, waterfall walls, and a massive marine aquarium that served as a living art piece. The regular security team stood at attention, complemented by the prince's personal detail. Right this way, I said, leading them to a hidden elevator panel that opened at my approach. I didn't know this elevator existed. Amanda muttered, I was going to use the regular ones. The penthouse has its own private access, I explained as we entered the elevator. Biometric security, dedicated express shaft. The elevator rose silently, its glass walls offering increasingly spectacular views of the coast. Mom and Dad stood speechless, finally starting to realize this wasn't quite the underutilized space they'd imagined. When the doors opened to the penthouse foyer, Amanda's yoga mat slipped from her fingers. The space before us was 12,000 square feet of calculated luxury. A great room with 20-foot ceilings and walls of smart glass offered panoramic ocean views. Custom lighting created an atmosphere that made the sunset look like an artist's masterpiece. "This isn't an office," Mom whispered. "Not exactly," I agreed, walking to a control panel and activating the house systems. Hidden screens emerged from elegant panels, climate controls adjusted automatically, a soft symphony of technology and luxury hummed to life. "Sir," my assistant Margaret appeared from a side door. "Prince Abdullah's team has completed their security sweep. He'll be up shortly to sign the lease." Amanda's face went pale. "Lease? What lease?" "The prince is leasing the lower penthouse," I explained, watching their expressions carefully. "This is just the upper viewing area. The actual business suite is through those doors." Dad found his voice. "Prince Abdullah, the Saudi prince who's been in the news. He's expanding his tech investments in the region," I said casually. "Needed a suitable space for his operations." "But my yoga studio," Amanda stuttered. As if on cue, the elevator announced another arrival. Prince Abdullah entered with his entourage, his presence commanding the room instantly. "Mr. James," he greeted me warmly, "another magnificent property. Your reputation for excellence is well deserved." Mom grabbed Dad's arm for support. Amanda seemed to have forgotten how to breathe. "Your Highness," I bowed slightly. "Welcome to the Azure. I trust everything meets your requirements." "Exceeds them, as always." The prince gestured to his assistant, who stepped forward with a leather portfolio. "Shall we sign the papers?" "Of course." "Margaret, please show my family to the viewing terrace while we conduct business." As Margaret led my stunned family away, I heard Mom whisper, "Since when does your brother know Saudi princes?" The next 30 minutes were a blur of legal documents and pleasantries. The prince's lease would bring in $2 million annually, a nice addition to the Azure's portfolio. As he left, he paused to admire the view once more. "Your sister's yoga studio would have been interesting," he said with a slight smile, letting me know he'd overheard the earlier conversation. After the prince's departure, I joined my family on the terrace. They stood in shocked silence, watching the sun paint the ocean in shades of gold and crimson. "So," I said finally, "about those yoga classes." Amanda turned to me, tears in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell us? All this time, would you have believed me?" I asked quietly. "When have any of you actually asked about my business instead of just assuming?" Dad stepped forward, his authority visibly shaken. "Son, I don't understand. How did you? When did you? While you were all busy feeling sorry for my struggling career, I built this." I gestured to the magnificent space around us. "The Azure is just one of my properties. That small office where we have meetings. I own the building, your country club, Dad. I bought it last year. The shopping center where Amanda teaches yoga. Mine, since 2019. Mom sank into a custom-designed lounge chair. "But you never said anything. You never asked. You were all too busy planning how to help me by taking over things I own." I walked to the edge of the terrace, looking out over my creation. The Azure glowed in the dying light, each of its 50 stories representing years of work, planning, and quiet success. That small office downtown. It's where I meet family because it's what you expect to see. Your assumptions about my success made it easy to build this empire quietly. Amanda had moved to stand beside me, her yoga mat forgotten on the imported tile floor. "The Saudi prince is one of many high-profile tenants. The Azure houses tech companies, international corporations, and now a royal business suite. That empty penthouse you wanted to turn into a yoga studio, it's worth more than Dad's dealership." Wilson appeared at the terrace door. "Sir, your 7 p.m. video conference with Tokyo is ready." "Thank you, Wilson." I turned to my family. "Margaret will show you out. Amanda, next time you want to use someone's property, try asking first. Though I doubt your yoga clients could afford the rent here." "What is the rent?" Dad asked, his business mind finally engaging. The prince's lease is $2 million annually, for the lower penthouse only. I smiled slightly. Still think it's being wasted as an office. They filed out silently, their worldview thoroughly shattered. As the elevator doors closed on their stunned faces, I heard Mom say, "All this time we thought. They'll be talking about this for weeks." Margaret observed, appearing with my laptop. "Let them talk," I said, settling into my custom office chair. Maybe now they'll learn to ask questions instead of making assumptions. The Tokyo conference would launch another billion-dollar project, but my family would never see that office either. Sometimes success is best built in silence, away from those who think they know your worth. Wilson's voice came through the intercom. "Sir, your family has left the building, and your sister dropped this." A photo appeared on my screen. Amanda's carefully prepared presentation about her yoga studio plans. "Archive it with the others," I instructed. Another reminder of why quiet success is the best revenge. As night fell over the Azure, I watched the city lights come alive below. In offices and homes across town, my family would be rewriting their understanding of success. Meanwhile, I had an empire to run, quietly, efficiently, and far beyond their assumptions. The penthouse hummed with hidden technology and earned power, a testament to what can be built while others are busy underestimating you. Sometimes the best view isn't just the ocean sunset, it's the look on people's faces when they realize how wrong they've been. The morning after the penthouse revelation, I sat in my real office, the entire top floor of the Morgan building downtown, watching the fallout unfold through various security feeds and digital channels. Amanda had spent the night updating, and then deleting all her social media posts about her upcoming luxury beachfront studio. Her latest online status, posted at 3 a.m., read, "Sometimes life teaches you humility in the most unexpected ways." My phone lit up with a message from Wilson. "Your sister is currently in the Azure lobby, attempting to schedule a proper business meeting with you." I switched to the lobby camera feed. Amanda had traded her usual yoga attire for what she probably thought was proper business wear, a fast fashion suit, and her professional laptop bag. "Let her wait 20 minutes, then have Margaret inform her that Mr. James is in meetings all day," I instructed. Another notification popped up, this one from my banking alert system. Dad had spent the morning trying to trace my company's financials. His searches through public records were hitting dead end after dead end, all carefully constructed over years of strategic planning. My actual business empire, Phoenix Global Holdings, operated through a labyrinth of shell companies and offshore accounts. The Azure was just the visible tip of a very large, very private iceberg. "Sir," Margaret's voice came through the intercom. "Your mother is currently calling every luxury real estate office in the city, trying to figure out how she missed your property acquisitions." I pulled up Mom's call logs. A benefit of owning the city's main telecommunications infrastructure, she'd made 27 calls since 7 a.m., each time dropping increasingly desperate hints about her successful developer son. "Has she reached any actual answers?" I asked. "No, sir. All the major firms are owned by your subsidiary companies. Their staff have standing instructions about family inquiries." I turned to the wall of screens displaying my global operations. The Azure was just one property in a portfolio that spanned 3 continents. While my family scrambled to understand the beachfront complex, I was finalizing deals for tech campuses in Singapore and Dubai. A discreet alert flashed. The hidden cameras in Dad's dealership office activated. He was hosting an emergency meeting with his business partners. "Marcus must have had help," Dad was saying, pacing behind his desk. "No one builds something like the Azure without connections. We need to figure out who's really behind it." If he only knew that his own dealership lease had been owned by one of my companies for the past 3 years. My phone buzzed with a message from an unlisted number, one of only 3 that could reach this line directly. "Having fun?" Grandmother's amused voice came through when I answered. "You saw the family group chat?" "Oh yes." Your mother's carefully worded message about being surprised by hidden blessings was particularly entertaining. And Amanda's midnight essay about redefining success was quite moving. Grandmother had been my silent partner from the beginning. the only family member who'd seen past the facade I'd constructed. Her initial investment in my first tech startup had helped launch what became Phoenix Global. They're trying to rewrite the narrative, I said, watching Amanda finally leave the Azure's lobby, her shoulders slumped in defeat. Of course they are. Your success challenges everything they believed about themselves. Amanda's identity was built on being the successful sibling. Your mother's social status came from managing family reputations. Your father's authority stemmed from being the family's business expert. Another alert flashed. Mom had just arrived at her favorite lunch spot, where she was sure to start damage control with her social circle. How long before they figure out the rest? I asked. You mean the other properties? The tech companies? The fact that you own half their favorite restaurants and most of the buildings they shop in? Grandmother chuckled. They'll discover it piece by piece, each revelation more shocking than the last. Wilson's face appeared on my private screen. Sir, your sister has posted a business proposal to your company's public submission portal. I pulled up Amanda's proposal. She'd spent the morning creating a detailed pitch for a wellness partnership, trying to leverage our family connection into a business opportunity. She's nothing if not persistent, grandmother observed. Though her proposed budget is rather amusing. The monthly maintenance on the Azure's aquarium costs more than her entire business plan. A notification from my legal team popped up. Dad had just requested all public records related to the Azure's development. Your father's trying to reverse engineer your success, grandmother noted. He still thinks there must be a simple explanation, a single deal he can understand. Let him search, I said, authorizing my legal team's standard response protocol. Everything he finds will only lead to more questions. My phone buzzed again. Amanda requesting a family dinner to discuss synergy opportunities. She's switched from entitled to entrepreneurial rather quickly, grandmother observed. The view from the penthouse tends to change perspectives, I replied, declining the dinner invitation through Margaret. A final alert caught my attention. Mom had just called her interior designer, probably hoping to get information about the Azure's furnishings. The designer, who worked exclusively through one of my subsidiary companies, would politely explain that all details were under strict NDA. They'll keep digging, grandmother said. Every dead end will only make them more determined to understand how they missed this. Let them dig. Sometimes the search for answers is more educational than the answers themselves. I stood at my office window, looking out over the city I'd quietly shaped. Below, I could see Amanda's car pulling into another of my buildings, probably trying to find someone who could give her answers about her suddenly successful brother. Sir, Margaret appeared at my door. The Tokyo development team is ready for their update. Thank you, Margaret. And the family. Your mother is currently telling her friends about her private tour of the Azure. Your father is trying to contact Prince Abdullah's office, and your sister has just enrolled in an online course about luxury property development. I smiled slightly. Send them all the same message. Mr. James is traveling for the next 2 weeks. All business inquiries must go through proper channels. As Margaret left, grandmother's voice came through one last time. You know they'll keep trying to insert themselves into your success. Let them try. The Azure is just the beginning of what they don't know about their struggling relative. I turned back to my screens, where real success continued to build quietly, far beyond family assumptions and entitled expectations. Sometimes the best lesson isn't just showing people what they missed, it's letting them discover how much more they still don't know. Through the security feeds, I watched my family's continued attempts to understand their new reality. Mom was rewriting her social media bio to emphasize her developer son. Dad was on his third call, trying to reach Prince Abdullah's office. Amanda was creating a new business plan, this one with luxury wellness prominently featured. Let them search, plan, and recalibrate. The truth about success is that it's often built in silence, away from those who think they can claim it without earning it. And sometimes the most satisfying revenge isn't just proving people wrong, it's letting them slowly discover just how wrong they've been, one luxury property at a time. 2 weeks after the penthouse incident, I watched my family's evolving desperation from my private jet somewhere over the Pacific. The Azure had been just the first domino. Now they were discovering my influence everywhere they turned. My phone buzzed with Wilson's daily report. Status update. Your sister attempted to book the Azure's conference room for a luxury wellness seminar. Denied. Your father's golf club membership was up for renewal. He just discovered you own the club. Your mother's favorite shopping center began its mysterious renovation. She doesn't know you're the one modernizing it. I switched to the live security feeds. Amanda had traded her yoga pants for business suits, spending her days trying to network with Azure tenants. Dad had hired a business consultant to investigate my success. Mom was renovating her social circle, suddenly preferring friends with connections to real estate and development. Margaret's voice came through the jet's intercom. Sir, your sister has made 7 attempts to contact Prince Abdullah's office today. She's trying to pitch a royal wellness program. And the prince's response. His office informed her that all business proposals must go through Phoenix Global Holdings. I smiled, knowing Amanda would spend days trying to find a direct connection to my company. The maze of shell corporations and holding companies I'd built would keep her searching indefinitely. A notification popped up from my banking alerts. Dad had just taken out a substantial loan against his dealership, likely attempting to position himself as a serious investor for future opportunities. Your father's loan application was processed, Margaret reported. Through your subsidiary bank, of course. Standard terms, yes sir. Though he did try to mention his developer son to the loan officer. I pulled up the family group chat, which had been uncharacteristically quiet since the Azure revelation. The usual posts about Amanda's yoga achievements and Mom's social triumphs had been replaced by careful inquiries about business opportunities and real estate trends. My phone rang. Grandmother's private line. Your mother just called me in tears, she said without preamble. Apparently she tried to book her charity gala at the Azure and was informed the venue is fully booked for the next 3 years. It is, I confirmed. Though she doesn't know the bookings are mostly for my international business partners. She's also discovered that her favorite boutique is in one of your buildings. The owner let slip that Mr. James is an excellent landlord. Through the jet's windows I could see the Pacific giving way to Asian coastline. Another development project waited in Singapore, far from family expectations and entitled assumptions. Have they figured out the full scope yet? I asked. Not even close. Your father thinks the Azure is your only major property. Amanda believes you're merely a successful local developer. Your mother is still telling her friends you must have inherited your business sense from her side of the family. A new alert flashed across my tablet. Amanda had just registered a business name, Azure Wellness Concepts. Your sister is nothing if not optimistic, grandmother observed. Though she might want to check trademark laws before using your property's name. My legal team is already handling it, I replied. Standard cease and desist letter will arrive tomorrow. Another notification. Dad had just arrived at the Azure, presumably for another attempt at understanding my operation. I switched to the lobby cameras. He stood in his best suit, trying to project authority while asking the security desk about his son's office. James is currently out of the country, Wilson informed him smoothly. All business inquiries must be submitted through proper channels. I'm his father, Dad insisted. Surely that counts for something. Sir, Mr. James's family status does not override corporate protocols. I watched Dad's face fall as he realized his paternal authority held no weight here. This wasn't his dealership where family connections opened doors. This was my world, built on merit and strategic planning rather than inherited privilege. They're starting to understand, grandmother said, having accessed the same security feed. The harder they push, the more they realize how little they actually know about your empire. Mom's social media alert popped up. She just posted a carefully worded update about supporting independent business success with the Azure tagged in the background. Your mother's trying to establish public connection to your success, grandmother noted. Though she might want to check who owns her favorite lunch spots before claiming insider knowledge. I pulled up my global property portfolio. While my family scrambled to understand the Azure, I was finalizing deals for developments in 3 countries. Their concept of success was still confined to local visibility and social status. They couldn't comprehend the quiet empire I'd built while they were busy underestimating me. Sir, Margaret's voice returned. Your sister has just submitted her 5th business proposal this week. This one includes a detailed plan for integrated luxury wellness services at all your properties. She still doesn't realize the Azure is just one small piece, does she? No, sir, none of them do. Through the security feeds, I watched my family's continued attempts to insert themselves into my success. Amanda networking with anyone who looked important in the Azure's lobby. Dad studying property development websites on his office computer. Mom strategically mentioning my son's luxury development at every social gathering. Let them keep searching, grandmother said. Each discovery will be another lesson in humility. My phone buzzed with a message from Wilson. Your family's cars are all currently parked at the Azure. They appear to be having an unauthorized strategy meeting in the public lobby. I switched to the lobby camera. There they sat, huddled around a table meant for guests, surrounded by laptops and papers. Amanda was gesturing enthusiastically, probably pitching another wellness concept. Dad had his business expert face on, the one he used for important deals at the dealership. Mom was making notes, likely planning how to leverage this situation socially. Shall I have security remind them about lobby policies? Wilson asked. No, I replied. Let them sit there. Sometimes the best lesson is watching others succeed without you. As if on cue, a group of international executives walked through the lobby, headed to their offices in the upper floors. My family's conversation stopped as they watched the genuine success they couldn't access. They'll keep trying, grandmother observed. Each failure will only make them more determined to understand how they missed seeing your true capabilities. Let them try. The Azure was just the beginning of their education about assumptions and success. My jet began its descent into Singapore, where another development waited, one my family wouldn't discover for months. Sometimes the best success isn't just proving people wrong. It's letting them slowly realize how much more they still don't know. Through the cameras, I watched my family eventually pack up their impromptu meeting, their expressions a mix of determination and frustration. They still thought the Azure was the full extent of my success, still believed they could somehow insert themselves into my story. Let them plan and scheme. Real success isn't built on family connections or entitled assumptions. It's built in silence, through strategic vision and patient execution. And sometimes the most satisfying revenge isn't just shocking people with your success. It's letting them discover, piece by piece, just how blind they've been to your true capabilities. 1 month after the Azure revelation, I called a meeting that would end my family's attempts to claim pieces of my success. The invitation was simple, delivered to their phones simultaneously. Phoenix Global Holdings annual stakeholders meeting attendance required. No exceptions. They arrived at the Azure lobby exactly on time, dressed in their best attempts at business attire. Amanda in a new designer suit, clutching her fifth revised business proposal. Dad carrying a leather portfolio filled with his investment opportunities. Mom wearing her most expensive outfit, ready to network. Wilson met them at the private elevator. Mr. James will see you in the executive suite. The elevator didn't stop at the penthouse they'd seen before. Instead, it continued up to a hidden floor. My actual office suite at the Azure. The doors opened to reveal a space that made the penthouse look modest. Welcome to Phoenix Global, I said from behind my desk, the wall of screens behind me displaying my true empire in real time. Please sit. They sank into Italian leather chairs, their eyes darting between the screens showing properties across 3 continents, stock tickers rolling global numbers, and live feeds from development sites worldwide. The Azure isn't just a building. I began activating the main display. It's a small piece of something much larger. Something you've been trying to understand. And insert yourselves into mass. For the past month, images flashed across the screens: luxury developments in Dubai, tech campuses in Singapore, retail complexes in European capitals, all bearing the subtle Phoenix Global mark. Your wellness proposals, Amanda. My company's annual wellness budget is larger than your entire business history. She clutched her proposal tighter, its inadequacy now painfully obvious. Your investment ideas, Dad. The parking garage at the Azure cost more than your dealership's annual revenue. Dad's portfolio slipped from his fingers. And Mom, those social connections you've been trying to build. Most of your favorite venues are already my properties. Mom's carefully composed social mask cracked. But, Amanda found her voice first. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? I stood walking to the window. When have any of you actually asked about my success instead of assuming my failures? Through the glass, the city sprawled below, a landscape increasingly shaped by my quiet influence. Your attempts to claim pieces of my success these past weeks have been enlightening, I continued. Amanda's unauthorized use of the Azure name, Dad's investigations into my business structure, Mom's social media campaign to establish connection to my developments. Their faces reddened as their recent activities were laid bare. So let me be clear. Phoenix Global isn't a family business. It's not an opportunity for your wellness studio, Dad's investment schemes, or Mom's social climbing. It's an empire I built while you were busy underestimating me. I pressed a button, and the screens filled with their own words, years of dismissive comments, undermining remarks, and entitled assumptions, all carefully archived. The Azure revelation was a test, one that showed exactly how you view success and family obligations. Your immediate attempt to claim it for personal gain was instructive. Son, Dad started, but I held up my hand. I'm not finished. You'll each receive a formal letter today. It outlines your existing connections to my companies, the leases you hold, the memberships you enjoy, the venues you frequent. All will continue under standard business terms. Nothing more, nothing less. Margaret appeared with 3 identical envelopes, distributing them silently. But we're family, Mom protested weakly. Yes, we are, which is why you'll continue to enjoy access to certain properties as paying customers. Amanda, your yoga studio's lease will renew at market rates. Dad, your dealership remains in its location under standard terms. Mom, your social clubs will continue operating as usual. They stared at their envelopes, the weight of professional documentation replacing family entitlement. The Azure was your wake-up call. This is your reality check. Success isn't something you can claim through family connection. It's something you build, earn, and protect. Standing, I moved to the door. Wilson will show you out. Your current access cards will be deactivated at midnight. New ones reflecting your status as standard clients will arrive tomorrow. That's it? Amanda whispered. After all our plans. Your plans were for my property, not yours. There's a difference. I opened the door. Though if you'd like to book the penthouse for events, our leasing office has very reasonable rates. They filed out slowly, their dreams of claiming pieces of my success finally shattered. Only Mom paused at the door. We really never knew you, did we? No, I replied quietly. You never tried to. As the elevator doors closed on their stunned faces, I returned to my empire's command center. On the screens, new developments continued to rise. Deals continued to close, and success continued to build, you quietly, efficiently, and far beyond family assumptions. Sometimes the best success isn't just proving people wrong. It's showing them exactly why they were wrong to underestimate you in the first place. And sometimes the most satisfying revenge isn't letting people claim your success. It's letting them realize they never understood it at all. End of story.